Hi, everyone. Welcome to a brand new episode of Not Aspirational. I'm your host, Hannah Aaron Brown. Here we are back again, recording in real time. I am back from over the pond, so to speak. It is almost Halloween. And because of popular demand on social media, I've decided to devote an episode to recapping my London trip. Now, before we get into it, I just want to say off the bat, couple things. First of all, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I never want this podcast to become a brag journal about like the fabulous life of Hannah Aaron Brown, okay? I personally find that content to be, while sometimes fun to ingest, overall kind of grating and unrelatable and annoying, especially in this climate, okay? So that's not what this is going to be. Also, I understand that there are people that are dying, Kim. Like, in the grand scheme of life, my trip to London means absolutely nothing. However, I also believe that social media is a lie, and I am here to debunk that today. I think so often on social media, we see people living these fabulous, gorgeous, aspirational lives, and this podcast is called Not Aspirational for a reason. I was seen on social media going on what appeared to be an aspirational trip, but something semi-unrelatable that I will say is that Europe will always find a way to humble you. And honestly, in general, I think travel will always find a way to humble you. No matter like how fabulous you think your trip is going to be, how much you ball out, there's only so much at the end of the day that you can actually control. Also, I realized through this trip that as someone who did not travel a lot growing up, I will say like a little bit of background, a little bit of context, a little bit about me. I grew up in like a financially very up and down family. So when I was really little and we were doing like well, we did go to Disney World, okay? We stayed at a stunning hotel, Grand Floridian, okay? It was amazing. I was 3 years old. I ate prime rib and apparently took a famously giant shit given how small and little I was because I was 3. But that's neither here nor there. By the way, we're going to get too personal on today's episode, so buckle up, buttercup, okay? Strap the fuck in. But then things were financially down for like a lot of my upbringing. Like I've said it before, I'll say it again. Sometimes our gas got turned off. Like generally our family vacation for the year would be like us going to Wisconsin, renting a cabin with like several other family members, squeezing as many of us in there as possible and like playing cards and watching movies and going to the flea market and eating snacks. Amazing memories, by the way. Some of my most treasured, wonderful memories. And to this day, like when I think of a relaxing vacation, I always want to go to the woods. I always want to go to the cabin because that's how I grew up. But like all this to say, I did not grow up going to Europe. I really hadn't. I went to Europe in 8th grade on a school trip to France because I got scholarship money. My French teacher was retiring that year and I was like the only student who tried. So she was like, I really want you on my last trip that I'm taking to France with the kids. And she was nice enough to use like literally all the scholarship money on me. So this said, I'm not some like well-traveled diva. Okay. Do I aspire to be one? Yes. Do I think anyone should feel any shame if they've traveled? Absolutely not. But I just want to give everyone like a full view of like who the narrator of this story is, like my background and my relationship to travel. And honestly, like it's only within the last few years that it didn't become a huge deal for me to even get on a plane because like in my 20s, I was so fucking broke. I could never go anywhere. So to get to go to London on an anniversary trip is huge and it's a big deal. And my relationship to travel, something that this trip kind of taught me was that my relationship to travel is like a bit like almost based in scarcity. I didn't even realize it until this trip, but like because I didn't go on like big over the top trips growing up, the relationship I have to travel is honestly kind of like how I feel about New Year's Eve when it's like there's so much pressure on it. Like let's say here's my comparison. I don't know if you've ever done this, but there are those like New Year's Eve events where it's like a club or a restaurant is like we have this amazing prefix menu and unlimited drinks, and you get the ticket and you go to the event and you have this amazing outfit. You spend all this time and all this money getting ready, and you go to this event, you spend all this money to be at this New Year's Eve event, and then you like don't have fun, and like the line for the drinks is too long, and it's like 10:30 and you're sober. Someone like bumps into you and spills a drink, and you feel like such a piece of shit because you're like, I spent so much time and money and energy making this night perfect, like manifesting a great night, and I'm still not having fun. And I feel such immense guilt when I spend a lot of time and money and energy on any sort of outing, whether it's a dinner or a trip, and I'm not enjoying myself. So like, just know that. In the immortal words of Alison Dubois, know that, okay? So Jake and I, our anniversary is October 19th. This was our first anniversary together. We had been planning this trip for like 4 months, and we had kind of been waffling on whether or not we should go because like both of our work was kind of up and down this year, and we were like, is it responsible? Like, yes, we can afford it, but like, is it responsible? And then we ultimately got to a point of like, if not now, then when? Like, we have the money in the bank. We don't have kids. Like, let's do it. So we decided to do it. The week before we're supposed to leave, so we left on a Tuesday. The Wednesday before that, we get a text from our landlord out of the blue saying, I want to sell the house, and I'm coming by with a realtor tomorrow to see like what I could get for it. And if I like the price, I will be moving forward. And we're like, what? Jake's lived here like 9.5 years. I moved in the pandemic, so like almost 6 years. We're very, very emotionally attached to this house, and it was very sudden. So we leave for London. He comes by with the realtor, whatever, they assess the property. We leave for London on Tuesday. We're a little stressed because we still haven't heard anything, but we're like, well, we're going to go on this trip. Like, what are we going to do? Like, we got to go on this trip. We are on the first leg of our flight to London. We flew into Atlanta and then from Atlanta to London. We're on the flight to Atlanta. We get a text, you guys have 60 days to leave. We're like, eh? So we're going into this trip being like, okay, we have 60 days until we have to leave. We're spending like 7 of those days away from our home when the reality is like, we need to start packing immediately. We have 10 years of shit shoved in this home. We need to get rid of things. Like, what the fuck are we going to do? We get to Atlanta. We have a layover. I'm not exaggerating, the worst migraine. I'm not someone who like gets migraines. Like, God, I mean, knock on wood. God bless me. God bless my life. I've never been like a migraine girly. I got such a throbbing migraine in the Atlanta airport. Like the back of my eye was like, it was like pounding. And I was like crying in the airport, and Jake goes to get me Advil. So by the time we get on our second flight, it's like pretty late at night. And I'm like, okay, I had this Advil. I should be able to just like pass out on this flight. Another first world problem. This is going to be the least likable thing I say this entire episode. So again, buckle up, buttercup. For our honeymoon last year, we went to Italy. Jake had been traveling for work a lot at that time. So we had accrued many Delta Sky miles, okay? And we were able to upgrade to business class for a flight to Italy. Now, here's the problem with me. When I experience true luxury, I'm ruined for life. Like, ignorance is bliss. I would rather know that Delta Business or Delta One does not exist, because now that I've had a taste, now that I've had a little bit of blood, a little bit of Hannibal Lecter, Delta Business, Delta One, sorry, whatever, I'm a nightmare, because it is truly, it's a vacation in and of itself, okay? To go to the Delta One lounge, to drink a nice fatty cappuccino, to enjoy the massage chairs, then to get on your flight and go in the little lie flat pod, watch movies and be fed food for, 8 hours. Like, truly, it is a vacation on its own. And for this trip, times are a-changing. We could not do Delta One, which is fine, okay? It's fine. It's first world problems. I'm going to London for my first anniversary. None of this is necessary. It's all over the top, okay? It's all over the top. However, when you know what it feels like to be in that fucking pod and be, plied with champagne and wine and yummy little treats and noise-canceling headphones, you watch The Dark Knight, you take a nap. That's what I did on my way to Italy. You miss it when it's gone, okay? Especially when you have a migraine. We get on the plane. It's fine. We have our flight to London. It's great. We roll up to our Airbnb, okay? which was in Notting Hill. And like for Italy, we did hotels. For this, we're like, let's do an Airbnb. We don't want to spend an arm and a leg going out to eat like a bajillion times a day. We want to be able to like, you know, make snacks at the Airbnb, whatever, like have a kitchen and stuff. We're staying in this cute little flat. Okay. But Jake had to get the keys like around the corner from the Airbnb. So I'm waiting in front of the Airbnb with our bags, and this random man like bikes up. He's like, hello. I'm like, hi. He's like, this you? I'm like, what? He's like, are you staying here? I was like, uh-huh. And he's like, oh, this is us. Yeah, I'll let you in. I'm like, I'm just waiting for my husband to come back with the keys. Like, no worries, I'll let you in. Fair warning, our dog is here. And I'm kind of like, what's going on? And this is why in true crime documentaries, they're like, if you're a people pleaser, like, don't be. Like, be a bitch. Be like, I don't know you, bye. Mind you, like, Jake had been messaging with the owner of the Airbnb, who was a woman, okay? And at no time in our correspondence did she mention a man that she lived with or a dog or whatever. And like, we assumed that just like no one would be there and we would just get the keys and let ourselves in, like as you do at an Airbnb. But this guy is like, yep, this is us. I'll let you in. It's clean and everything, but the dog might still be in there. You'll get to meet her. And Jake comes around the corner and he's like, who are you talking to? What is going on? And this guy is like, hey, I'm going to give him a fake name. Hey, I'm Trevor. I'll let you guys in. He like picks up my bag. He's like leading us into the Airbnb. Jake's looking at me like, what the fuck is going on? We're about to die. Trevor lets us in and he's like, oh, she's gone and our dog is gone. And like he had a key to the place. So I was like, call me naive, like not that nervous. I was like, well, obviously he lives here. He's not like some random man. He has like a key to the place that we're staying in. And he's like, all right, well, we're going to go enjoy. And he just leaves. And it was like so chaotic. Like his energy was like very frenetic and chaotic. And Jake's like, what the fuck was that? And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, that was fucking weird. We don't know this man. Why was he here? Who is he? Like, we're going to die. Like in Jake's mind, he was like, we have been lured into an Airbnb by a couple as unsuspecting American tourists. This is about to be like Liam Neeson Taken. This is about to be hostile. We're about to get killed abroad. Okay. And I will say, this couple presented like exactly the way like a serial killer couple would present in like a horror movie. Like in any sort of movie where like dumb American tourists get murdered. Like they were this very on paper, just like average, like, oh, hello, how you doing? Oh, nice to meet you. We got a dog. Is that okay? Like they're the people you wouldn't suspect. And for that reason and that reason alone, you're like, yeah, they're going to kill me. So Jake starts getting more and more anxious. And then I start getting more and more anxious. And I'm texting my friends being like, there was a man let us into this Airbnb and one of my friends is like, get the fuck out of there. I would be weirded out too. Just leave. And I'm like, what do I do? And then I look at the Airbnb listing again and the host that we had been messaging with, this woman had in her description been like, hello, welcome to my flat. I live here Monday through Wednesday with my partner and our dog. And then we're in the countryside the rest of the week. So once we read that, we were like, okay, crisis averted. Not that big of a deal. This man has been accounted for. We just didn't read the fine print. So it was fine. Okay. But it was kind of a chaotic way to kick off the trip. On top of, mind you, my migraine and the fact that we found out we had to evacuate in 60 days. So at this point, we're in the Airbnb. We're settled in. We've come to terms for the most part with the fact that we're not getting murdered. Then we have to go to the Magnetic Fields concert. I don't know if you've ever heard of that band. It's one of my favorite bands, the Magnetic Fields. They are from like the early 90s, like late 90s. And they were doing a concert. So they have this famous album called 69 Love Songs. And when they originally toured, they performed it over the course of 2 nights because it's 69 love songs. So we were able to catch the second night and we were like, let's go to a concert the first night we get to town. That'll force us to stay awake. It'll be so fun. So we grabbed dinner at this super cute French place called La Petite Auberge. I'm shouting them out because it was so fucking good, so cozy. Everything you picture out of like a cozy European restaurant was this place. It was French food. It was so bomb. I got this like lamb shank that truly changed my life. And then we go to the concert. We get super sleepy. We're like, that was fun, but we got to go home. We take the tube, which is, if you've never been to London, very easy to navigate. Highly recommend. Next morning, our plan was to go to Borough Market and get Indian food for lunch or dinner and kind of just like, those were our only plans that day. We start the day. My outfit comes together ever so nicely. And we actually decided to meet up with my friend Nikki, who works in like the Covent Garden, like Kensington area. So we meet up with him. We go for a walk with him and his dog. Shout out to Wanda. We catch up, super fun. Jake and I get a cheeky little pint. We get lunch at this amazing Indian restaurant that Jake loves called Punjab. And it was unbelievable. At this point, we're kind of day buzzed. We're in a good mood. Then we go back to the Airbnb. And this whole time we're kind of thinking like, okay, like, we have to move. And by the way, right before we had left for London, we had seen a couple houses with the intention of like, okay, like let's get this ball rolling if we're going to get kicked out. Like we already kind of felt in our gut that we were going to have to leave. So we applied to a house before we left. And I wrote this super flowery email to the realtor about how like, I love the way the light hits my breakfast every morning. Like it was my full like Steve Martin, Father of the Bride speech about our house being like, this will be the thing to get us to the next round of applicants. Like we will respect this home. We found this like old home in Highland Park that we loved so much. So that's all on our minds. We go to dinner at a place called Walmer Castle, which is so fun. It's a pub and restaurant. The vibes were immaculate. And then we're super tired and we go home. The next day, we go to Portobello Market. We do some shopping. We grab lunch at a pub, kind of dick around. Then we get dinner somewhere that will remain nameless, okay? And then Jake and I go back to Walmer Castle and have another cheeky pint. We have a fun night out, okay? Meet some random people from Europe. It was fun. That night, I am awakened by the most intensely sharp stomach pains, like in my lower abdomen region. Also, let's get intimate. I had started my period the day we left for London, okay? And we're going to get real personal here, guys. Buckle up, buttercup. I discovered a skin tag on my groin, okay? So between the period and the skin tag on my groin, I'm shall we say, not very interested in digging into the white lingerie that I brought for my wedding anniversary trip to London, okay? I'm feeling actually what I think is the least sexy I've ever felt. But then, this particular night, I start getting stabbing pains in my lower abdomen region. And I'm awakened around 5 a.m. to the feminine urge to vomit and shit at the same time. Okay, so I excuse myself to the bathroom in this tiny flat where really you could hear everything that's going on in the bathroom. And I bring a bag in with me because I'm not certain what's going to happen in there. Sure enough, both ends, people, both ends. That's right. I have gotten food poisoning. Food poisoning during my romantic, floppy air quote, anniversary trip to London. Okay, so let's just do a quick recap, okay? Find out I might have to move. Get a migraine in the airport. Find out I do, in fact, have to move. Think I'm going to get murdered, okay? Food poisoning, right? So the whole next day, that was going to be our, quote, big fun day where, like, we were going to go to a play. We were going to go to like shop. We were going to go to East London and go shopping. We also never made it to Borough Market. We were going to go to Borough Market that day because we ended up meeting up with my friend the other day and we were going to go to Borough Market. So we're like, we're going to go to Borough Market. We're going to shop. We're going to get martinis at Duke's. We're going to, go to a play. It's going to be so fun. We're going to meet up with one of my friends who happens to be in London for a drink at night. It was going to be like our big, like, fuck it, we ball kind of day. And I do not make it out of bed. I am freezing. Then I'm sweating. At one point, I'm laying on the bathroom tile because the cold tile feels soothing against my weary bones, okay? Poor Jake is just wandering around our Airbnb like a listless, aimless little ghost, okay? Just wondering what he should do with himself. He's like answering emails. He's working on our trip. He's doing some work. Also, the day we left for London, Jake threw out his back, putting something in a lower cabinet in our kitchen. So he's answering emails, doing stretches. It is not romantic at all. We do nothing until about 8 o'clock when I finally peel my body from bed and I say, I think I can be ready to eat something. On the upside, we do find this really cute hole-in-the-wall place in Notting Hill. It's a Vietnamese restaurant called Med Sala Viet. Westbourne Grove. It is the best pho of my life. When I tell you that pho truly revived me, and it was this big ass bowl, and the service was amazing, and it was super affordable, and it was like truly one of the best meals we had while I was there. But we had Vietnamese food. It was cozy. The vibes were good. But we lost like an entire day to my bowels. Okay. And, we were only there, we only had 5 actual full days in London, or like 4.5, because we got in like on a Wednesday afternoon. So to lose a full day was a bummer, and we couldn't get refunded for our play tickets. So it kind of sucked. Oh, I did forget to say too, the day before I died, we went to Duke's and got martinis. And this is a controversial take, okay? This is a hot take. A lot of people on Instagram, perhaps some of you listeners, recommended Duke's. Everyone was like, Duke's martini service is a can't miss London experience. It's at this bougie hotel bar. It's a whole ass thing, okay? There's like a dress code. You have to dress smart casual. So Jake and I dress smart casual, and we get our martinis there. And I gotta be honest, like, maybe it's just because my palate is trash, okay? And like, I don't think we should rule that out at all. But I thought it was kind of overrated. Obviously, like, the service was incredible. Everyone was really nice. The vibes in there were cool. But it was like just like a $30 martini that wasn't as dirty as I would have wanted it. But I felt weird, like, asking for more olive brine because it's like the Duke's way, and I didn't want to like mess with it. And there was also this American woman. It was all Americans in this little lounge that we were in. And there was this American woman, and she was, to her credit, like, it looked like she was having a fun day because she was at a table with like a bunch of girlfriends. But when I tell you, this bitch was shouting, she's like, so yeah, then my husband and I got in a huge fight. She was like a Parker Posey character. She's like, no, yeah, I didn't talk to my dad. No, I haven't talked to him in years. Like, we're getting this woman's like personal, deep life story in Duke's to the point where like we're making eye contact with other tables being like, oh my God, she's so fucking loud. And that's me saying that, you guys. But like, even though I'm a loud bitch in general, which is why I have a podcast, I really do try to be mindful of how loud I am in public. And sometimes I do get excited and I do forget my volume. But she had to be checked by her friends because this was a small space and we knew her entire life story. But yeah, I thought Duke's was a little bit overrated. So if you go to London and everyone's like, you can't miss Duke's, you just can't miss it, I would beg to differ. I would. Hot take. I would beg to differ. So we lose a day to food poisoning. It's a real bummer. At this point, we have 1 day left in London. And we're like, okay, sacrifices have to be made. I wanted to go shopping in East London so badly. And I wanted to go to a place called Dark Arts Coffee because Charlie XCX suggested it. She said her husband, George, loves Dark Arts Coffee. And I was like, I want a Charlie XCX George coffee. And I want to go shopping. We did do a lot of vintage shopping when we checked out Portobello Market. And it was fun, but like nothing spoke to me. I will say like Portobello Market is really fun. I would recommend, here's the thing. I'm at a point with my shopping journey and just like the acquisition of stuff where I do not want to buy any sort of clothes unless it's going to like solve a problem that I have in my wardrobe. So like if I'm not reaching to grab for something and realizing I don't have it, I'm really trying not to buy it, which is like why it's really fucking hard. But like I try not to get like occasion specific stuff anymore, even though there's nothing more fun than knowing you have an event to go to and you like want to go out and get a new top. You know what I mean? Like getting a new top for no fucking reason, like an impractical new top for an event is like top 5 human experiences to me, but I'm really trying not to do it. So like I didn't get anything at Portobello Market because it all just felt really like kind of touristy and like nothing that I would really care about. And the vintage stuff didn't really speak to me, although there were some amazing vintage designer handbags from like the early 2000s. And if I had the money, if I had fuck you money right now, I definitely would have gotten like a vintage Gucci or a vintage Fendi because they were amazing. But other than that, I think that Portobello Market is more of like a window shopping experience. But anyways, I'm jumping all over the place. Sorry about that. So it's our last day in London, okay? And Jake and I are like, we got to make some sacrifices. What do we really want to do? And so I really wanted to see Big Ben. I wanted to see Buckingham Palace. I wanted to see the London Bridge. And then we were going to go see the play that we didn't get to see the day before. We saw the play that goes wrong in the West End because Jake and I love a farce, which if you don't know what a farce is, if you've ever seen the play Noises Off, that's like, I feel like one of the most common examples of a farce, but it's basically just like very big, like physical humor. Like, I don't know how to describe it. It did not originate in London, but London does them often. And the West End is like a theater destination. So we wanted to see the play. So that was our big plan, was to like do some shopping. I really wanted to see Harrods. I wanted to go to Fortnum and Mason. And I wanted to go to Marks and Spencer. I don't remember what it's called. But like I want to see the big, pretty department stores. We didn't make it to Marks and Spencer, but we did make it to Harrods and Fortnum and Mason. Fortnum and Mason is so gorgeous. Their Christmas section. Again, if I had fuck you money, everyone in my family would have gotten an ornament from Fortnum and Mason because like everything is just so gorgeous and so curated. Like they had these like tins of tea that would have made a perfect gift if someone really liked tea. But Fortnum and Mason, I feel like, is a cannot miss if you're in London. Harrods, on the other hand, hot take, cool to see it because you're in London, but to me it's kind of just like a museum. Like it's all designer. Like I'm never going to go to Harrods and just like go out with like handbags a la Julia Roberts and Pretty Woman. And you know, if I'm in a department store, I want to leave with I just misspoke. I said I'm not going to leave with a bunch of handbags. I'm not going to leave with a bunch of shopping bags a la Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman. If I'm in a department store on a trip, I am in this mood of like aspirational mindset, like manifesting. Like I want to buy things when I'm on vacation, sometimes impractical things. And I want to leave a department store with a bunch of shopping bags. But again, if I can't afford it and or if it isn't actually solving a problem for me, if it isn't actually going to like improve my life when I get home from that trip, I can't buy anything. And I definitely couldn't afford anything in Harrods. So like, while it was fun to see, it also was like, for me, slightly depressing because I was like, okay, well, I can't just be like buying stuff here. And that's a fucking bummer. Okay. But I saw it. And then we go to the play and that's fun. And then we got a Sunday roast at Pig and Butcher, which was amazing. Thank God, Ramona voice. Thank God my food poisoning had ebbed by then, because had I missed Sunday roast, I truly would have cried. Like I would have been so upset because like you cannot go to London without getting a proper Sunday roast. And Pig and Butcher was just, the vibes were immaculate. It was so fun. We ate until we couldn't anymore. The only bummer was I did also, speaking of East London, I really wanted to go to Satan's Whiskers to get a cocktail. Someone on Instagram had recommended it to me, and Charlie XCX also said she loves Satan's Whiskers. But again, we didn't have time to really explore East London, so that's a bummer. And going back to what I said towards the beginning of the episode about like having this New Year's Eve sort of relationship to travel, I did like have just so much panic during the trip about losing a whole day to feeling sick, because in my mind, it's like, well, it took me 34 years to make it here. And financially, things have always been up and down my entire life. And like, I don't know like when I'll be back. And that was like a big bummer for me. And like, it's really hard to enjoy yourself when there's all this pressure to enjoy yourself. And so I do hope if I make it back that, I don't know, that I can kind of like exhale a little bit and not put so much pressure on myself to like, you know, be like living, laughing, loving, like giggling all day, every day. Also, when you're traveling with your partner, it's like there's only two energies there, which is both a blessing and a curse, because it's like, it's really fun to be like, do you want to get a pint? Yeah, let's get a pint. Like there's less opinions to take into account when you're traveling, but also because there are less energies, if one of you is in a bad mood or like feeling off, or you're like hungry, or you're tired, or you're cranky, it's kind of like the worst, because it's just sort of like isolating and shitty for both of you. And so that said too, like Jake and I are definitely people who like do not like museums. We don't like too much structure when we travel, but I am starting to think, now that we've been to Europe twice together, that maybe some structure is necessary. Because like going to the play was nice, because then when we hung out after, we could be like, what did you think of it? What was your favorite part? What actors did you like? Like it gives you something to like connect over and to discuss. And Jake and I were recently talking about like shared experiences and like quality time versus just like being together in the same space. Like if Jake and I are next to each other on the couch scrolling on our phones and the TV is on, like that's not quality time. But if we put our phones away and we like watch a movie together, then that's quality time, because then we get to discuss what we just watched. And I feel like trips have to be similar, where you kind of have to force yourselves to be present together. And I just think, even though Jake and I love like eating and shopping and drinking, doing that for like 5 days at a time, you do run out of things to talk about because, you know, how much can you discuss? Oh, this food was so good. Oh, this cocktail was so amazing. Oh, I wish I had the money to buy that designer handbag. Like, okay, end of conversation. So I do think if you're going to Europe, not a hot take at all, I'm just late to everything. I do think you kind of have to have a little bit of structure. I don't really care about like guided tours per se, but any other kind of structure I would recommend for a trip to Europe specifically. And that said, I also think maybe, just maybe, and I'm not proud to say this, and I do think I am trash, maybe my idea of true relaxation does not revolve around like a sightseeing kind of place. Like, I don't think a sightseeing city like New York or Rome or London are really like, yes, it's fun. Yes, it's cool. Yes, it's absolutely worth going if you can, but it's not relaxing. You know what I mean? And it's like, it depends what kind of trip you want to have. And I personally, in this chapter of my life, now have a hankering for like a trip that's just like truly relaxing, where it's like your job is spa, your job is pool, your job is nap, it's hotel robe time, it's dinner reservation, it's sleeping late. Like that is the trip that I crave. And I feel like a spoiled brat saying that because I just got back from a trip, but that's showbiz. You know, we're manifesting, we're dreaming big over here. I hope that I get to go on a trip like that sooner rather than later. Anyway, our last day, we get Sunday roast. It's great. Get back to our Airbnb. We start packing. We have some wine. And then Jake starts coughing really violently. Like, really violently. Not like a little like, like it's like, it's like an old man who's been smoking for 65 years. And it is so violent and so intense that not only is Jake not able to sleep, I'm not able to sleep. It's 4 a.m. and neither of us have been able to sleep. And Jake, like out of the goodness of his heart, is like, we both took turns. I was like, I'll sleep on the couch. You're sick. You take the bed. Then he's like, no, I'll sleep on the couch. Like, you take the bed. And at one point he's on the floor stretching because his back that he threw out before we left for London is still hurting him. And while he's on the floor stretching, he coughs so violently that he throws out his back again. And he physically can't get up off the floor. At which point I hear him go, ow, 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 ow. It's like Scarlett Takes a Tumble. He's like, ow, 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 ow. No, it's not Scarlett Takes a Tumble. It's that woman. Do you guys remember that old YouTube video where that woman is like stomping on grapes and then she falls and she's like, ah, like that's what it was like. And I run out of bed and I'm like, oh my God, baby, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? Like at this point, I'm like, we're going to have to take him to the hospital. Like he just broke his fucking back. And this whole trip, by the way, we have talked about next to nothing, but the fact that we have to move, we got rejected by 2 houses while we were there, including the one where I wrote a flowery email about how much I loved our house and how I wanted to make memories like that in a new one. So I just felt embarrassed and stupid for like bearing my soul to these realtors, for them to all be like, 2 swear fingers, fuck you, you're not getting the house. So we've been rejected by 2 houses. The whole trip has been consumed by the stress of moving. And now I'm like, Jake has to go to the hospital. I help him up. He's like, I don't have to go to the hospital. I'm okay. I do need pain meds. I'm like, okay. At this point, it's like 4 a.m. I'm like, first pharmacy opens at like 8 a.m. I will get you meds as soon as they open. I finally fall asleep. I wake up and it's unfortunately 9 a.m. Jake has already gone to the pharmacy to get himself meds. But the thing about London is they don't have like NyQuil or Dayquil. They don't have like hardcore over-the-counter meds there like they do in the States, okay? Europe has a lot of things figured out that we don't, but that is not one of them, all right? So it's our day to go home. It's our travel day. We are now going home. The trip has been full of laughter, yes, but a lot of tears, a lot of physical, mental, and emotional pain, and we're going to the airport for a long-ass travel day. We get to the airport in Heathrow, and Jake is so violently ill at this point that people are moving away from us at the restaurant at the airport because he's so respectfully, disgustingly sick. And he goes and like finds masks at the airport and is wearing a mask all day because he feels so bad. He's like, I wouldn't want to be near me either. I'm disgusting. And then we finally made it home, but barely. We got back to our house at like 1:30 a.m. on Tuesday morning. We landed at like midnight on Monday. I had taken Tuesday off of work because I was like, I want a day to just like settle in, do laundry, maybe sleep because I'll be jet lagged, right? But no, while we were in London, we found out that the day we got home, that Tuesday, our landlord had to come to the house with a realtor and a photographer to take photos of our space, along with 3 potential buyers. So we got home. We had to immediately like tidy up. We had to put Monty on a leash and let all these people just come into our house and be like, how was your trip? How was it? Oh, where'd you go for your anniversary? Oh, that's sweet. I'm like, don't act like you care. You know you fucking ruined the whole thing, okay? Okay? So they're taking pictures of our stuff. I go to Whole Foods and go grocery shopping and fully just start crying. Oh, and I forgot to mention this. On the flight home, I put on You've Got Mail. And I was just like ugly crying because I was like, I am Kathleen Kelly and my house is the shop around the corner. And all these like house flippers that are coming to my house tomorrow are like Fox Books, and they're just going to come and put me out of business and take my house away from me. And then they came, and ultimately we found out we don't have to move. Yeah. And I probably shouldn't have said this much on the podcast about it, but we don't have to move, and we will be moving in the new year by our own choice. But that was the end of our trip. And you know what's interesting is kind of going back to the house stuff. Like, I really had to do a lot of like soul searching, whether I liked it or not, in London, because growing up, I always wanted to have the house that like people wanted to come to. But honestly, I didn't. Like, my mom smoked inside and people were like, your house smells bad. The vibes are weird in there. I don't like coming over. So living in the house that was like cool, that people wanted to come to, where people were like, you have the best parties here, or like it's so cozy during the holidays, or like your house looks so beautiful. Like being able to like style a home like this and make a house a home and feel peace when I walk through the front door, when I didn't experience that a lot growing up, has been so healing. And feeling like that was getting like violently ripped away from me, I think I said this last week too, or 2 weeks ago, was a lot. Like, it was really fucking intense. And now that we don't have to move, at least not immediately, I'm just so grateful to have like one final holiday season here to say goodbye properly and to like really, you know, do this house justice and enjoy her and treasure her the way I always wanted to if we were going to leave. So that's that. But I think this is an important lesson. And I'm so sorry. I might get some 1-star reviews from this episode where people are like, fuck off. I don't want to hear you complaining about your trip overseas for 40 minutes. And that is completely valid and fair. But I also just like, in the spirit of Not Aspirational and in the spirit of social media being a lie, I wanted to be honest about like what this trip was. The fact that like, yeah, we took some cute pictures. Yeah, some of my outfits were cute, but like it was not romantic for most of it. And it was not perfect. And wherever you go, there you are. Like, life is going to follow you. And I think there can be a lot of shame around that, because you're like, I put so much like time and energy and money into this trip. And like, how dare I be human? And how dare I not be happy 100% of the time? But at the end of the day, like, no matter where you are, no matter what circumstances you're in, you're still human. You're allowed to be tired. You're allowed to be disappointed. You're allowed to get food poisoning. You're allowed to be like, this trip is not what I wanted it to be, and I kind of want to do over. Like, that's okay. And I think holding space for ourselves to be human, no matter how glossy and perfect things might appear on the outside, is so important, because I think when you're feeling down, the worst thing you can do is shit on yourself for feeling down. I think the best thing you can do is be like, okay, I'm disappointed. I feel down. And someday this will be a funny story, but I'm not there yet. Right now, I'm just fucking disappointed. And I truly think, at least when it comes to this London trip, had it not been for the house stuff, I think a lot of it would have been workable. But the house stuff really did just put a dark cloud over the whole thing, because I just felt anxious about being away from home. I felt anxious about being away from my pets. I wanted to just be in problem solving mode, and so did Jake. And you already feel out of control when you're traveling, but feeling out of control while you're traveling, knowing that you're going home to like actually no control, was a lot. And I also think that the universe is like, hey, this is marriage, bitch. This is marriage, bitch. And you have to be there for each other on this trip, and you have to take turns taking care of each other, quite literally, in sickness and in health. And, you know, learn to laugh at things when they're hard, but also learn how to problem solve together, and learn how to take turns being the person who's going through it and the person who's supporting the other person. Like, that's what not just marriage, but like friendship and relationships are all about. So, you know, you live and learn. And also, I'm so grateful that I got to go to London. I'm so grateful that I can be someone who can be like, yeah, I've been there. And am I dying to go back? Yes, but it'll happen when it happens. And I'm grateful that I feel so cool being able to like give recommendations and being able to be like, I went to a place like, and this was my opinion on this, whether you agree with me or not. So it's all a blessing either way. And now we're just really excited to hunker down in LA for the holidays and spend some time with friends and family and really just enjoy, whatever time left we have in this house. And we'll move when we find the right thing. And I'm manifesting that the right thing comes. And if you have any questions about LA that I didn't address, because I was very much all over the place, you just let me know in the comments on YouTube or on Instagram, Spotify, whatever. Let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think. And if you don't follow me already, follow me at Hannah Aaron Brown on Instagram, TikTok, whatever. If you love the podcast, leave it a rating and a review. Let me know what you thought of this episode. If you ever want to get a hold of me or write into the show, write in at NotAspirationalPod@gmail.com and get excited because I have some fun content coming up for the holiday season. So stay tuned. Have a happy and safe Halloween. And I love y'all, and I'll see you soon. Bye.